We're starting Unit 7, Lesson 2, looking at solving quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. With the quadratic formula, we will end up having square roots, so we need to look real quick at how to simplify them once we get them. So we already know, just start with a basic one, the square root of 4. What number do I multiply together times itself that gives me 4? It is 2 times 2. Since I have a pair, I can pull it out as 1. We're going to use this same concept to simplify square roots that aren't a perfect square. So something like the square root of 18. The square root of 18 is not a perfect square like 4 is, so we're going to break down 18 and look for pairs of numbers. So think of, what do you multiply together that gives you 18? Well, one set that you could use, I know that 6 times 3 gives me 18. I can break 6 down even further. What do I multiply together that gives me 6? And it is 2 times 3, so I get 2 times 3. This 3 I can't break down any further. And so now that I have it completely broken down to prime numbers, I'm going to look for my pairs. I have a pair of 3's, so I'll pull the 3 out, and the 2 stays inside. And so now we've simplified the square root of 18. Something else that we could have inside of a square root is a negative. If we end up with a negative under our root, so let's say I have negative 9, the negative square root gives us an imaginary number. And I know that's a very strange concept, but they are a real imaginary thing. And the way we define the imaginary number is by the number, or the letter I. So if I have a negative under my square root, I'm going to pull it out as I, and then just evaluate the square root or simplify it. So the square root of negative 9 is going to be, if you think of the square root of 9 is just 3, so the square root of negative 9 is 3i. So let's try one more all together, simplifying my root. So let's say I have the square root of negative 24. I'm going to break it down just like we did the 18, except my answer will have an I in it. So I'm going to have, let's break down 24. I know 6 times 4, and you could use any other one, 12 and 2, 8 and 3, as long as you just continue to break it down. 6 breaks down into 2 and 3, and 4 breaks down into 2 and 2. So I can write this as negative 2 times 3, that gives me 6, and then 2 times 2, that gives me 4. I'm going to look for my pairs. I have a pair of 2's, so the 2 will come out. 2 and 3 are not alike, so I'm just going to multiply them back together and keep them under my square root. So my 2 will come out, the negative comes out as I, and the 6 will stay under my square root. And so now I've simplified that square root. All right, and we'll use this concept in solving quadratic equations using the quadratic formula.